The elevator doors opened to a hallway that smelled like mildew and burnt hair. And though I didn't know it yet, I had just stepped onto a floor that didn't exist. I was in town for a 2-night conference, staying at a hotel that looked classy online, but had clearly aged since its photos were taken. Carpet stains, flickering lobby lights, that kind of thing. Still, I wasn't picky. I just needed a bed and decent Wi-Fi. My room was on the 5th floor. After grabbing dinner nearby, I got in the elevator, tired, scrolling through emails, not really paying attention. I must have pressed the wrong button. The elevator shuddered slightly and stopped. The door slid open. At first glance, it looked like any hotel floor. Dim lighting, faded wallpaper, a patterned carpet that might have once been red or green, but now looked like dried blood. I stepped out automatically. The doors closed behind me. That's when I noticed something odd. No floor number on the wall. I turned to look at the elevator panel, but the floor display wasn't showing anything. Just a blank screen. No number, no letter, just dead space. I figured I'd just walk to the stairs and take one up to 5. But as I passed the rooms, I noticed they were numbered 401, 403, 405, and then 409. I stopped in front of it. Room 409. There was no even-numbered side, just a single row of odd-numbered doors, spaced farther apart than usual. All of them looked unused. Dust on the floor, tarnished knobs, scratched peepholes. But 409 stood out. It was pristine. The door looked freshly painted. The brass number plate shined like it was polished yesterday. There was a "Do Not Disturb" hanger on the knob, except it was handwritten, in perfect cursive, like someone had carefully drawn it themselves. Then I heard something behind the door, a soft tapping, like fingers on glass. I know I should have walked away right then, but I had that weird pull. You know, that morbid curiosity that makes you look, even when you know you shouldn't. I knocked. No response. Then the tapping stopped. A second later, I heard my name. Clearly, from inside the room. Just a whisper. Daniel. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone I was staying at this hotel. My coworkers were in another city. No one knew I was even in town. I turned and rushed back to the elevator, jabbing the button. It didn't light up. The doors didn't open. I tried the stairs instead. The stairwell door at the end of the hall was locked. Not just jammed, padlocked from the inside. That's when I started to panic. I turned back toward 409. Thinking maybe someone was playing a sick prank. But the hallway was different, darker. The wallpaper looked soaked, sagging like wet skin. The carpet was darker too, almost black now, like it was absorbing light instead of reflecting it. And the door to 409? It was open, just a few inches, enough to see that the lights inside were off. But I could hear something now, whispering, constant, low, overlapping voices, like a dozen people whispering in a room the size of a closet. I stepped back, trying not to make a sound. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Then the voices stopped. All at once. The silence that followed was worse than the whispers. Then something heavy hit the inside of the door. Fast and loud, like a body slamming into it. The door rattled. The knob turned once. Slowly, I sprinted back to the elevator, pounding the call button over and over until finally, the light above it flickered and the doors creaked open. The elevator was empty. Thank God. I jumped in and hit the lobby button. The moment the doors shut, I started breathing again. When I reached the front desk, I asked the woman there, young, tired looking, what floor room 409 was on. She blinked, confused. "We don't have a room 409, she said. "You have a 4th floor though, right?" "No," she said slowly. "This hotel was built without one. Old superstition. Some buildings skip the 4th floor. Goes from 3 to 5. I didn't argue. I just nodded and walked out the front doors into the night air, too shaken to even go back for my things. The weirdest part? Later that night, I went online and found a digital blueprint of the hotel on an old architecture site. She was right, no 4th floor. But on the 1971 blueprint version, faint and scribbled over in faded pencil, there was a box labeled Room 409. No hallway. No access, just the room, like it was built and then sealed. I never stayed at that hotel again, but sometimes I dream about that hallway. The wet wallpaper, the sound of my name, the door that opens just enough. And last week, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a hotel room key, brass, engraved with one number, 409. The first knock came just after 2 a.m. 3 slow, deliberate taps, From inside the closet we hadn't touched since check-in. My girlfriend and I were halfway through a long coastal road trip, the kind you plan to escape routine. We weren't looking for anything fancy, just a bed, a hot shower, and silence. The place we found that night was one of those aging motels that looked like it hadn't seen a renovation since the early 90s. Fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. The check-in clerk barely looked up from his phone, and the wallpaper in our room was peeling at the corners like old scabs. But we were exhausted, so we shrugged it off and passed out not long after midnight. The room was cold. Even with the AC off, there was a strange draft that seemed to seep from the walls. But we buried under the covers and tried to sleep. Then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., I woke up. No sound, no nightmare. Just awake. Alert. Then came the knock. 3 of them. Knock, knock, knock. Not from the door. Not from the window. From the closet. You know that ice down your back kind of stillness that hits before your brain catches up? That's what I felt. I sat up slowly, listening. Maybe it had been in a dream. A sound from the pipes or upstairs. Knock, knock, knock. This time louder. I could feel the vibrations through the floor. Melissa stirred beside me. What was that? I think it's the closet. I whispered, barely believing it myself. She turned over, hair falling across her face. We didn't even open that thing. The closet stood in the corner of the room, a dark wooden panel set into the wall with no handle. Just a small brass latch, like it hadn't been used in years. We hadn't gone near it since arriving. I got up, slowly, heart picking up speed with every step. The air felt off, heavier somehow, like something didn't want me getting closer. I placed my ear to the door. At first, nothing. No sound. Then, tap, tap, tap. Right against the other side, level with my face. I jerked back so hard I nearly tripped. That's when I noticed the smell. Faint, but sour, like old paper soaked in mildew. And something else, something I couldn't place. Not rot, exactly. More like something left behind too long. Melissa sat up, voice low. Danny, don't open it. But I already had my hand on the latch. The door didn't creak open. It didn't groan or resist. It just glided silently, like it had been waiting. The closet was empty, at first glance. Just a dusty floor, a crooked coat hanger, and a single envelope. White, clean, untouched by the years of decay surrounding it. Placed neatly on the floor like someone had set it there with care. I bent down slowly, heart pounding now, and picked it up. My name was on the front. Daniel. And below that, and Melissa. My breath caught in my throat. Come here, I whispered. Melissa came over, her bare feet silent against the floor. She saw the names and froze. Did you tell the front desk our names? No, I said. I booked through work, under my boss's account. They shouldn't know who we are. The envelope was sealed. I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside, one sheet of paper. Smooth, untorn, printed in clean, typed font. We hope you're enjoying your stay. Please keep the door closed. Some things are better left locked away. That's all it said. I looked back inside the closet. The space was deeper now. I could swear it didn't go that far back when I opened it. A cold breeze curled out from the darkness. Not air conditioning. This was wrong. Like the kind of air you feel in a cave or an old crypt. Still, ancient. Then the door started to swing shut, slowly, steadily. I dropped the letter and slammed it closed. We didn't pack. We didn't speak. We just grabbed what we could carry and left the room within minutes. The lobby was empty. No clerk. No music. Just the buzz of a vending machine and our own breath echoing down the hall. We drove for 2 hours before stopping at a diner off the highway, too shaken to even eat. But here's the thing that still haunts me. The next morning, when I checked the email confirmation from the hotel, our names weren't on it. The room wasn't under my name. It wasn't even under my boss's anymore. It was blank. No reservation number. No record. And the email disappeared from my inbox an hour later. I called the hotel from the receipt we'd saved, but the number didn't exist. Just static. We still don't know how that envelope knew who we were. And sometimes, when I close my closet at home, I swear I hear something knock from the inside. 3 times. I only ever saw him from a distance. Never moving, never blinking, just standing at the end of the hallway, every night at 2:59 a.m., sharp. It started on the second night of my stay. I was in town for a 4-day conference and booked into a mid-range hotel near the venue. Nothing fancy, but clean enough, with long carpeted corridors that all looked the same. I remember glancing at the time, 2:58 a.m., wide awake for no good reason. I couldn't sleep, probably still wired from too much coffee and the weird buzzing that came from the hallway light just outside my room. Then I saw him. A figure. A man. Standing perfectly still at the far end of the hallway. Not walking, not pacing. Just there. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. Still there. A tall shape in a dark jacket. I couldn't make out the face. It was just far enough to be indistinct, but the outline was unmistakable. His body facing mine. His head tilted just slightly. Watching, I stared for nearly a minute. No movement. Eventually, I pulled the curtain closed, shook it off, and went back to bed telling myself it was probably just another guest or some weird shadow cast by the light. But part of me didn't believe that. The next night, same time, just before 3 a.m., I opened the curtain again. And there he was. Same position, same angle, still not moving. But now, his posture seemed closer. Not physically. I was sure he was still at the far end of the hall, but there was something in the way he was standing. A presence, like he knew I'd be watching. I closed the curtain immediately. My chest was tight. My room felt colder. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Night 3, I didn't want to look. I really didn't. But at 2:59 a.m., I got up and peeked. He was already facing me. Not just his body now, his head. Like he'd been waiting. That's when I noticed something I hadn't before. The hallway lights were flickering, but only near where he stood. The rest of the corridor was normal. Silent. Still. But near him, the light buzzed, like a bad frequency humming just under the skin. I watched longer than I meant to. I was scared, but I needed to know if he'd move. If he was real. He didn't. Not once. But just before I shut the curtain, I swear I saw a shift. Like his arm started to lift, just an inch. That's when I finally went to the front desk. I didn't mention the man at first. I just asked casually, "Do the hallway cameras record at night?" The night clerk looked up from her screen, polite but distant. "Yes, sir. For safety." "What? Can you check something for me?" I tried to keep my voice light. "There's been someone standing in the hall outside my room. Around 3 a.m. She hesitated. "What room?" 714. She turned to the monitor and scrolled through some footage. The timestamps ticked past 2:55, 2:58. Then she froze. She leaned closer. Her face went pale. I stepped around to look. The hallway was completely empty. No man. No shadow. Nothing. But at 2:59, we saw my room door. It opened, slowly, silently, on its own. No one came in. No one came out. It stood open for nearly a minute before gently closing itself again. I didn't open that," I whispered. "I know," she said, "because it happens every night." That's when she turned the screen to another saved clip. Different day, same time. Room 714's door swinging open. Alone, no one in front. "Is this some kind of trick?" I asked. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. The clerk just looked at me and said, almost too quietly to hear, "You're not the first one who's asked about the man in the hallway." I checked out the next morning. But at 2:59 a.m. the following night, back home and miles away, I woke up facing my bedroom door and found it standing wide open.